Ramsden. She is the senior legal researcher at the Helen Suzman Foundation. And on Monday, the foundation said that it was carefully weighing a court challenge to the rationality of the Judicial Services Commission (JSC) hearings, which we know culminated in the entity recommending that the president appoint Supreme Court of Appeal President Mandisa Maya as the next Chief Justice. Now, the think tank, which is the Helen Suzman Foundation, has said that the interviews which descended into political ambush saw the JSC abuse its powers and that it was taking legal advice on launching a review. Let's get Chelsea to give us more insight into this matter. A very good morning to you, Chelsea, and welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning, Julian. Thank you for having me.
Lovely to have you here. And is the foundation still going ahead with this matter? I mean, I think the type of comments I've been hearing in my social circles was that this was a complete shambles. It was some sort of a comedy playing out. But over to you, Chelsea.
We are actually still considering, we are holding meetings with our internal teams and with our lawyers as well to see what we could possibly do in terms of this. It's not an easy decision to take because we would like a Chief Justice to be appointed sooner rather than later. And the default position in a review application is that they would have to rehold the interviews again. And we're not entirely certain that that's even a desirable option, as they've had to rehold them again already once this year for when they were interviewing constitutional court justices, and the same outcome happened. So we're not sure it will achieve anything of great value.
Now, the bottom line is that President Cyril Ramaphosa doesn't necessarily have to go according to the recommendations of the JSC per se. He can, in fact, appoint someone from outside the four candidates, or he could still choose one of the candidates. But the interview process was so skewed in so many different ways. There was issues around sexism, sexist remarks, questions not relevant to the actual interview process, etc. As a matter of fact, Chelsea, as we speak, we've just heard that there are growing calls for Darlene Porfy to be removed from the Judicial Service Commission. So to respond to all of that, is that going to have an impact at all if the president has already possibly decided who is going to be appointed from these four candidates?
Well, you're very right. The Constitution just requires the president to consult with the JSC and the leaders in the National Assembly. So he doesn't have to take the recommendation of the JSC. However, if he did have to choose someone outside of the four, they would have to redo a consultation because the consultation only relates to the four that have currently been undergone the interview process. But as I said, the interview process was entirely skewed. It went completely downhill. Well, actually, from President Maya's day, she sat there and had to just answer question upon question that were related to gender. They asked her nothing more about things that would actually lead to her being a good Chief Justice or anything like that. And then, sorry, there you go. And then with Judge President Mlambo and Acting Chief Justice Zondo, I mean, that was it was a political show, and it was run by politicians as opposed to members who are there that are supposed to be representing the interests of the public. Whether he appoints someone from the four and whether that would be open to a challenge or a review because because the consultation was irrational or invalid is also a consideration. But we have no qualms with any of the four candidates themselves, and it would be really great and amazing to have a new Chief Justice that is the first woman Chief Justice of South Africa. So we would be very happy with that. And then
But
when it comes to, yeah,
I'm
sorry.
kind of wondering, there is this call for women in leadership, and by appointing Justice Maya, that would actually appease that call, so to speak. But is it going to be purely on merit? Because we do know that the critical questions that needed to be posed at this interview were never posed. So we don't really have a deep insight into all of these candidates. I mean, my money, and I'm being very biased here, my money was on Zondo, and I really believe that he's more than proved himself with on the Zondo Commission. Uh, I was told that I'm being very biased. I can't just base it on that report. How well, but there you have it. Uh, is she going to really get this position then on merit? And how comfortable is she? Would she be with that process, knowing that the critical questions were never asked, and we don't truly know who is she as a woman and as a judge?
See, that's the major flaw in the process that happened. The JSC, the purpose of a JSC interview in any case, not just with the Chief Justice, but in all the other ones, is so that the public can get an understanding of the judges, that they can make an informed consideration of their capabilities. And then as well for the JSC themselves to be able to make an informed, measured decision. Now, those questions were not asked of any of the candidates. The questions were entirely irrelevant. And I mean, I can't speak on behalf of President Maya, but if it was me, I would not be happy being appointed on the basis that I was the least scandalous interview of the event, or that the other candidates were subjected to unsubstantiated attacks.
Okay, so moving forward, what's going to happen now? Because it's a done deal, is it not? I mean, I don't think the country or President Cyril Ramaphosa can afford, as you have pointed out, to undergo a whole new process again. How do we move forward?
Well, it is possible that the president could choose one of the candidates out of the four and ask them to reconduct an interview with just one of them before he makes a decision. There's also a confusion on whether the JSC itself had to recommend one candidate, whether it was just meant to provide its views on the candidates. So it may not necessarily be a done deal, although I can understand that the most likely is a done deal, and he probably will appoint President Maya. However, this is his prerogative, and we don't know from there. It's a continuously moving situation. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
And that's where we'll leave it. We'll all be watching the space very closely, won't we? And probably hook up with you again sometime in the future to get more insights into this matter. How soon do you believe the candidate is going to be appointed?
Well, from experience, or from the history of this process that Cyril Ramaphosa develops, and that we can see that he has been a bit slow in terms of following the process. When he received the names from the shortlisting panel, it took him a while to come up with his shortlist. So he doesn't always act very fast. He's a very careful thinker. And so that may take some time, but I do think that it's important that we get a permanent Chief Justice, given the state of the attacks and the criticisms against the judiciary. There needs to be a leader that can take everyone through this.
And we look forward to that. Thank you indeed, Chelsea, for your time. Have a wonderful day. It's exactly 8:48 a.m. This is News and Views right here on Salam Media. On the show next, we are going to be talking with Dr. Ahmed Haroon Jazbai about the sentencing, the plea agreement and sentencing of the Tutsi twins.